right, I'm starting this one by putting my feet up and
Nice
drinking the rest of my Coors Light because we got some stuff to celebrate today on this Monday afternoon.
on on the second half of the first 50, I guess, episode 51.
That's right. Uh,
What kind of feedback you get from episode 50?
I haven't gotten necessarily any like verbal feedback other than a couple messages here and there on
Yeah,
Facebook just saying it was really cool and really good interview and good episode and everything too. But I think we're up to about 160-ish views on YouTube so far. I haven't checked any Spotify stats recently, but really still really cool of those guys to come on and join us for a couple of interviews and getting that out there for our milestone episode.
oh, absolutely. We had the good people in front of us at the game tonight saying that they really liked the interview too. That was nice.
Yeah, I told them about it on Saturday against Victoria last week. I was telling them that we got him on and that we were gonna release that episode on Monday. So I'm sure they were
Nice.
pretty excited.
Yeah.
They thought it was pretty cool. Um, so yeah, Monday matinee game today, and it came with the Chiefs victory and a clinching of a playoff berth for the
Yes, it
Chiefs.
did.
Middle of February, clinching a playoff spot. I think three or four teams clinched today. Everett clinched a couple of nights ago, but the Chiefs, Medicine Hat, and Victoria all clinched today. But the fact that the Chiefs are clinching in mid-February as opposed to 2 years ago when we won 15 games, didn't even come close to making
Right.
any sort of a playoff push. That's it's pretty exciting stuff, and it's I mean again, just a testament to how these guys have been playing this year.
I'm sure it's happened before, but not that I can ever remember have they clinched this early. Maybe back in the early days or something too. I wasn't a stats guy back then. I just went to watch the fights. You're my stats guy that keeps me updated on all that stuff, but I don't remember us ever clinching this early.
Yeah, I mean, maybe we have. I mean, I know 2008 we had like 103 points or something, so maybe it was summer. But I mean, a lot of other teams in the division were really good that year too. So,
Yeah.
yeah, it's just cool stuff, and this team has really kind of come together all year, and it's just I really think that having the Eastern Conference trip early in the season really kind of helped mesh these guys together a little bit because we've seen that in years past where we have our Eastern Division swing, right after Christmas
Mm-hmm.
or, around this time, late
Mm-hmm.
February. And it's like, I mean, obviously they're a team and they spend a lot of time together and everything, but being on the bus and going back to a lot of these players' hometowns and like playing in rinks that they grew up watching games in and everything too. I feel like that's a really good bonding experience for like a team, and having that so early in the year this year I think was really beneficial.
Mm-hmm. No, I agree. I agree. We talked about that when it happened too, that it was probably going to help the team come together earlier than usual.
Yeah, and it sure as shit did. And this team is a huge breath of fresh air compared to the hockey we've seen the last couple of seasons.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean they deserve all the success that they're having by the way that they're playing. I think the main thing that I've especially noticed in the last month or so is our ability this year to play while trailing is so impressive.
Oh, I agree.
I mean, especially I think it was the last three games we were trailing in the games. The Victoria game, we're down 4-1 late in the second period, battled back to force overtime. Wenatchee kind of outplayed us
Mm-hmm.
for the most part on Tuesday night. And I didn't think that we really deserved to win that game, but
No.
tying it up with 30 seconds to go and then winning it in overtime. And then, Tri City, um, on Saturday at the arena. I mean, we were down in that game too and came back.
Yeah.
And then today,
Yeah.
against
Can we
Kamloops.
can we stop doing that though, please? Can we start the games a little better, please?
Yeah, that'd be nice.
Yeah.
The adjustment that they seem to be making at intermission and stuff too to be able to battle back is a really nice trait to have as a team. But I'd like to be able to start the games, with that scoring touch that we seem to get
Yeah.
the last 30 minutes of the game.
Yeah. Like you said, it's nice that we can do that, and we obviously have the confidence to come back. And I'm sure we have the coaching staff with the experience that keeps these guys pretty level-headed and gives them extra jump to come out after they've had a period like that or start to a game like that too. like you said, the adjustments that happen and everything. I just like to see a little jump from the get go, because when we listen to the post game interviews, the players even say it. Yeah, we didn't start good. We didn't start good. They know they need to do that, and they just can't seem to do that the last half dozen games or so.
Yeah, but I wonder if it's just, obviously we're still, I think, the second youngest team in the league.
Yes.
That's probably part of it. And as these kids get a little bit older and get a little bit more experience in the league under their belt,
Mm-hmm.
that I'm sure that'll change too. But it's a time when the veterans on the team and the leaders got to step up and kind of just tell these guys, like, this is how you got to do it. You got to start and you got to play a full 60. Because I think with the leadership group that we have and our overagers and our veterans, I mean, they're all leaders. Catton's obviously, I think, the perfect choice for a captain, as we talked about. I'm
Mm-hmm.
sure he gets that message out there. And Ulmer, I'm sure he wants to go out his junior career with a bang and making a deep playoff run.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm sure he's relaying that message. And Ras too. I mean, Ras is obviously a European player that came over here and made a huge impact right away when he joined us. And he's wearing the A every single game this season for a reason. He's essentially the secondary captain when Catton's not playing or whatever,
Mm-hmm.
too. And so that's another guy, that another overager that I think obviously wants to have a successful end of his junior career in a playoff run. So I'm sure they're getting that message out there to those guys too, and just some big games ahead here.
Yeah.
Um,
I sent you that stat thing today of all the teams that have been hot in the last 10.
yeah.
I mean, Seattle Thunderbirds going into today 8-2, 0-0 in their last 10. We
Mhm.
talked about them. Medicine Hat 7-1, 1-1. Brandon 7-1, 1-1. Us 7-1, 1-1. Victoria 7-1, 0-2. Prince George 7-2, 1-0. I mean, all these, there's a lot of teams that are pretty hot right now, but it's nice to be in that mix too. It's been a long time.
Well, and the thing with our success this season is, we've had these streaks where we're winning, 5, 6, 7 games in a row. But
Mm-hmm.
I feel like even, when we lose a game, we're not getting blown out. It's a close game. Usually it's like within a goal or two most times. And it's
It's
like
attainable for sure.
we're in every game. Like we haven't, lost a game by, more than like a 4 or 5 goal margin in quite a while. And so I feel like that's something that they got to take into account too.
Yeah. No, I agree. And we're not losing back to back games.
Hmm. And that's just a test of the effort that they're putting in, and they're
Yeah.
actually, you know,
A lot of resilience
playing.
this team.
Yeah, resiliency. That's a great way to describe it. So yeah, 4 games since our last episode last week. Starting on Tuesday at the arena. They talked about the game against Wenatchee. Um, what were your overall takeaways from that game?
Oh, it's not Trevor Nolan out there, but how's the officiating so far?
Pretty chintzy, but it's been like that both ways.
That should have been a penalty shot right there.
Yeah, I thought so too. I don't know about that one.
I know either.
Just kind of how the boys were playing. I mean, obviously we're down late in the third period. Dawson Cowan, not looking too sharp in that game, but
No, he didn't. The first period was okay.
mhm.
The start of the second period, I didn't like.
Yeah, Wenatchee picked up 3 goals on 18 shots, and that's it's not like Cowan. But obviously he's had a heavy workload this year,
And it's
and
not all on him by any means.
no,
Their second goal when Wenatchee had was a defensive breakdown on the power.
mhm.
And granted, it was still a power play goal for him, but still.
Yeah, but overall, I think a game that he'd like to, have back essentially, like, have a better
Mhm.
performance in. Um, but nonetheless, the Chiefs did end up picking up the victory. But what was your kind of overall take watching that game and like how it unfolded?
Well, I felt it was pretty even first period. In all honesty, I didn't feel like we had our best stuff. Second period, I felt like we had a letdown. The third period, somehow the last half of the third period, we kind of came back and seemed to have jump again too, and were able to get to overtime. It was odd. It was like we talked about that going into it too when we were at the game. When Wenatchee plays is tough.
Yeah.
I told you in the previous podcast I could see it being like a 3-2 game, being very close, and us still winning. And I said, or I could see, the Chiefs that we've seen a handful of times just come out and just take it to them. And we haven't done that in a while. And Wenatchee plays this tough. Don Knockbar's got a good system. I feel like all of these coaches that used to be former Chiefs coaches that we see, I feel like Bill Peters, the same thing too. They've had the same system that they had wherever they've coached, and they're still effective.
Yeah.
The mid ice trap, we saw that again the other night. The Tri-Cities pulled it on us too.
Mm-hmm.
It's like that slows down, especially our top line more than anything. Our top line does find ways to end up scoring. They do, but I think there's a lot of pressure on them to do that, and it doesn't need to be either, because I think we do have four lines that can roll, because we do get a lot of secondary scoring. I don't know. I get a little frustrated watching that top line from time to time, but at the end of the game, those guys are getting their points, and they're clutch for us coming back and winning. So I think expectations are just high right now for all of us as fans, because they have had the year that they've had to start. And when we see them have a little hiccup or look a little off on a certain night, it gets frustrating, because we want to see them do that special stuff that they've been doing the majority of the season. And we get a little critical and we get a little cranky, I guess, for lack of a better term. But I did not expect us to come back and win it the way we did. I still thought we would come back, but I thought the comeback would start sooner than it did.
Yeah, I did too. But that's, also a credit to Wenatchee's goalie. I mean, Brendan G played a really good game.
He played really good.
The Chiefs still ended up putting up, 35 shots in the game, and he stopped quite a few grade A chances that, obviously it could have been a 5-3 Chiefs win easy in regulation, but he stood on his head, and he's done his job as the guy in Wenatchee the last half of the season here after they traded Daniel Hauser. But
we've talked about that a little bit this season too. We've come up against some pretty hot goaltenders at times this season, where I feel like we've outshot the other team with quality chances too, not just throwing the puck on net, but quality chances. And the guys have played good. Cowan was that guy for us the last couple of years.
Mm-hmm.
He was kind of that guy where he could steal some games for us too. Mateka the other night too, same thing.
Yeah, if it wasn't for Mateka, I think we would have won that game down in Kennewick.
Yeah, me too. He played really, really good.
But yeah, no, I agree. I mean, I feel like we could have at least 4 or 5 more wins under our belt if we didn't run into a hot goalie.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a lot of really, really good goaltending in the WHL, especially in the Western Conference.
There is.
And that makes it tough, obviously, but we have the scoring talent up front to kind of counter that, but sometimes it's just like the goalie's just on a roll. And but yeah, Brendan G, I mean, credit to him, he played a great game. Wenatchee was up 2-1 going into the third period. Chiefs tied it 5 minutes into the third, and then Wenatchee took the lead again about 8 minutes left in the third period. So it's 3-2 Wenatchee at that point. Chiefs pull the goalie. 30 seconds left. Shea Van Olm puts the puck in the back of the net with a great feed from Sarkinov out front.
Yeah.
And then Cam Parr out there on that as the extra attacker on that too.
Set it up.
Set that up to Sarky down there, and he was kind of going for that pullback shot in front of the crease, and just drifted off his stick, but it landed right on Van Olm's tape, and he buried it. And then overtime, 3-on-3. I love watching our team play 3-on-3. The speed, and especially if you put with guys like Catton and Crystal, and you give them that much open ice, like that's dangerous.
Yeah.
And their ability to slow it down and kind of get their open ice and get the space that they need to make these plays happen and everything too, and then they can utilize the speed to get net front and everything. It's been really impressive, and I'm confident when we have to go into this 3-on-3.
Me too.
Overtime,
no matter who we're playing against.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And they pulled it off. Second shift for the top line of Van Olm and Catton. Will McIsaac out there as well. Catton and Van Olm going a 2-on-1, and Catton had a little bit of
McIsaac too to set that up.
Yeah, absolutely. Catton had a little bit of a lead on Van Olm getting behind the defenseman, and then he passed it back to Van Olm. He one-timed it in for the game winner. So he ties the game with his 41st of the year, 30 seconds left, and then gets his 42nd of the year game winner in overtime. So he's just having a hell of a year.
Yeah, bottom line, yeah. been pretty incredible. And that's one thing too, like you just kind of touched on it too. When we are down and we aren't playing our best game, it seems like we start to go to the dirty areas too, which I almost wish we could do a little more consistently too, instead of waiting until we're behind to do. I know we have talent to do the flashy plays and score some goals and stuff too, but that net front stuff, that's what gets us back into these games. I wish we could do it a little more often from the get go.
And we saw that today quite a bit.
Yes, we did.
Going down pretty early in the first period, I saw early in the second period, I saw a lot of that fourth line.
Yeah.
We
Ozzy McIntyre, yeah.
Ozzy McIntyre, Cohen Harris, and Campar. I mean, those gritty guys that they're going to get net front, do whatever they need to do, every single time they step on the ice. And then the other guys kind of followed suit after that. And the third line reaped the benefits there and picked up the first couple of goals of the game. So, but we've seen it in the last handful of games from these guys. I mean, like you said, they start out slow and then they start getting into those dirty areas and crashing the net and getting net front, and then that's when our success comes. So yeah, like you said, especially if you're gonna do or make a deep playoff run, that's the kind of stuff that, or kind of mentality that you need to have going into a game and to start a game and play the entire 60 minutes that way.
Yeah, agreed.
So yeah, the Chiefs picked up the 2 points there against Wenatchee on Tuesday, going into home and home with Tri-City on Friday, starting down in Kennewick. We were just kind of talking about it. I mean, the Chiefs, for the most part, I think offensively, they had more zone time. They had more, double the shots that Tri-City had. This is a case of running into a hot goaltender. And Lucas Mateka has always played us really, really well.
Yes, he has.
And I mean, I can't even count off the top of my head how many goalies that Tri-City has had over the last 20 years that have just shut us down.
Starting with Carey Price,
Sarthau,
I forgot about him.
Comrie, Chris Dreger.
Yeah.
I mean, there's so many. Suchanik a couple years ago.
Yeah, he was a Chief killer too.
And then Mateka is another one of those guys too. But they always seem to have hot goalies that seem to play really, really well when they're playing against the Chiefs.
Well, you would think that having Ole the goalie as a team owner probably has a little bit to do with that. He takes a little pride in having good goalies in Tri-Cities, and it works.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
And I think that Tri-City has a really good team this year, in all honesty. I mean,
I agree.
They've taken a huge step up than they were last year as well as the Chiefs. I just think that they're a year or two behind us in their kind of rebuild.
They're honestly where I expected us to be this year. I think we've exceeded the expectations, but Tri-Cities is where I expected us to be.
Yeah, me too. I kind of expected us to be kind of middle of the pack, middle to lower of the pack, and pretty much exactly where Tri-City is. But yeah, I mean, the Chiefs, first period, 1 goal scored by Tri-City. So it's 1-0 after the first period in favor of Tri. Chiefs outshot him 10-5 in the first period. And then 10-6 in the second period. And then a huge jump in the third period, outshooting Tri-City 22-6. So that it's another one of those things where it's like we're trailing going into the third period. We're trailing. I don't remember what the score was going into the third. I think it was just 2-1, and then a lot of the scoring came in the third period. But so we're down 2-1, and Andrew Crystal scores his 37th of the year 5 minutes into the third period to tie it up. And then a minute later, Tri-City scores back-to-back goals in just under 30 seconds to take a 4-2 lead. So, I feel like that kind of bummed us out, for the lack of a better term, for a couple of minutes. And then we started doing that, getting to the dirty areas, crashing the net, doing what you can to beat Mateka, because we had so many chances, like a grade A scoring opportunities in the third period, between 2-on-1s, breakaways. We had a couple power plays, and he was just shutting us down left and right. And finally, with about 2.5 left, Berkeley Catton scores to make it a 4-3 game. And then Braden Crampton from the point with another goal, game-tying goal, his 7th of the season, with just under a minute to go in the third period to force overtime. So the Chiefs pick up a huge point there.
Yeah.
in the race. I mean, I think right now we're only 9 points behind Everett.
Going into today's game, we're 9 back.
We won today, so we ended up having 7, and then they ended up beating Victoria 3-2 today as
Today.
well. And yeah, I watched that third period. I turned it on about halfway through, and Victoria had tied it, and then Everett scored another goal with about 5 minutes left to take the lead, and that's kind of how it would stay. But so yeah, we're in a playoff chase still. I mean, we've clinched a
Mm-hmm.
spot, but obviously we'd like to get to that top spot. And I think that if they can kind of keep rolling and keep winning these games, especially if, yeah, I think we still have 2 or 3 games against Everett
Mm-hmm.
uh than the rest of the regular season. So if, especially if we win those games, I mean, if we win all 3 of those games against Everett, that's 6 points right there that we
Yeah.
can use to catch. So obviously it's a tough task, and we're in the playoffs regardless. But obviously, I'd love to see us make that jump to get that top spot in the West.
Yeah. But even playing against Everett, those last games of the regular season too, win or lose, they're going to make us a better team.
Absolutely. And once they get, all their guys back and they get healthy, they're gonna be a little bit of a different monster, I think, when they get Austin Roost and
Yeah.
Yetman back from injury. But yeah, so going into overtime, both teams had some pretty good chances in overtime down in
Mm-hmm.
Tri-City. Um, Dawson Cowan made a couple of pretty big saves. And then the Chiefs had a couple of insane opportunities there kind of later in overtime. Chase Harrington had a wide open net with a great feed from behind
Yeah.
the net. I can't remember who made that pass, but he just whiffed on it when he had a wide open net. And
Yeah.
so no scoring in overtime, go to the shootout. And the Chiefs are notoriously bad at shootouts. Uh so I feel like we kind of go in there and they try to slow it down a little bit too much. And I think a lot of goalies are getting a lot better at reading those slower moves. You have guys like Crystal coming in and just slowing up and doing like the Kuznetsov or the Patty Kane, trying to do
Mm-hmm.
stuff like that. And it doesn't work as well as it used to. I think, and then you watch the Tri-City players going down and they're coming in with speed and they just
Yeah.
make a nice move backhand, whatever, or snipe it. And it beats them. And I think that's kind of how the Chiefs got to go about it if they're going to be in shootouts.
Yeah.
But it is what it is. The Chiefs did lose in the shootout, unfortunately, but picked up a huge point,
Mm-hmm.
and you get another chance to play Tri City the next night in your home barn in Spokane. What were your overall thoughts from that game down watching that game Friday night
Um,
down in Tri? Were you
uh,
watching that game?
yeah, I watched it. Hot goalie. I mean, just there's times when you run up against a hot goalie. We outplayed them. I thought energy wise and everything, with the exception of giving up a couple of quick ones there midway through the third. That was, I don't even remember how that happened. I don't know if it's a defensive breakdowns or what it was, but to give up 2 in 30 seconds, that was kind of the down part of the game for sure. But other than that, I felt like we outplayed them. Again, Cowan looked a little off a little bit. I don't know how or why. Just looked that way to me. I actually expected Essler to start in Spokane the next night.
Yeah, I think that if it was last year, if we had the same coaching staff that we had last year, I think it would have been.
Yeah.
But I think with Brad Lauer being a guy with so much experience in this league and in the NHL and everything, obviously, but I think that he wants Cowan to know that he's the guy and give him kind of a chance to try to rebuild his game back to where
Yeah.
it was a week ago. It kind of just boosts his confidence back. I'm sure that's kind of his mindset. And I honestly agreed with that because I think that obviously that's the guy that's going to play all of our playoff games.
Mm-hmm.
So those big games, it's huge for him to be able to kind of bounce back from having a couple of rough showings. But I think he played a lot better of a game on Saturday.
He did. He did. The team
So
did overall too in front of him.
yeah, definitely. Tri-City came out and they outshot us in the first 2 periods as well. They kind of didn't really like putting up only 18 shots in that game and kind of getting dominated offensively down in Tri-City the night before. So they came out and it was actually a pretty even game for
Mm-hmm.
most of the game. I thought Tri-City got on the board first, halfway through the first period on the power play. Shea Van Olme answers late in the second period or the first period on the power play again. That was a nice little passing play
Yeah.
between Cat and Marty and Ulmer in the bumper. And then Mathis Preston with a great snipe. And nice to see him burying the puck again.
Yeah, yeah, it's a nice little drop pass to him inside the blue line there,
Yeah,
shooting it through the defender's legs.
yeah, shoot it against the grain too.
Yeah.
Just a perfectly placed shot, and it was really just nice to see him score because I kept telling you that he's looked a little bit sluggish in a couple of the games that
Mm-hmm.
he's played since he came back. Obviously, any player is going to deal with that coming back from an injury, but once it starts falling for him, they're going to start coming in waves, and they honestly so far they have.
Yeah. Well, did you listen to the post game and what happened to him and what he hurt?
Yeah, in
Yeah.
practice, yeah.
Yeah. So, and having to be a shoulder issue, so that's hard to hit your spots when your shoulder
Yeah,
hurts. So yeah,
definitely.
glad to see him scoring again.
Yeah, definitely. That's a guy that's going to put up some serious numbers in the next couple of
Yeah,
seasons.
I told you earlier this year I thought he'd get 25 this year.
Well, he's got 17 right now. He's
Yeah,
got time.
yeah.
Um, so yeah, no, Mathis Preston gives us a lead going into the first intermission. And then Savin Vert for Tri-City scores 2 goals in the second period, about 8 minutes apart to put Tri-City back on top, 3-2. And then so going into the third period, we're trailing 3-2. How are you thinking at this time? Like how the game's gonna?
I didn't like the second period from us at all.
No, I
Like
didn't either.
Tri Cities really took it to us. They dictated the tempo from start to finish of that period, and it sounds like boys might have gotten a little ass chewing at that intermission too.
Yeah, also according to Presto in the post
Yeah,
game interview.
yeah,
And that's a good thing in all honesty,
yes,
because we haven't had that kind of leadership with this group for a couple of seasons now. So it's
yeah.
nice having that from obviously I'm sure the coaches are doing it, but I'm sure the veterans and the leaders
No,
on the
me
team
too.
are doing
Yeah,
that shit too. Um,
not acceptable.
No, and especially, late into the season, got a month left in the regular season. Like all these games are so important when you're, chasing the top team in the West.
Mm-hmm.
You got to every game is important. 2 points is 2 points. It doesn't matter who you're playing. So, um,
And you want to continue to get better and better, and you want to keep your game intact as well too. You don't want to start straying from that.
exactly. And I feel like we kind of got lost in that a little bit in that second period for sure.
Yeah.
Coming out in the third period, Chiefs putting it on an offensive clinic. How about Braden Crampton continuing to score, picking up
What's
his
with this
eighth.
fluky goals to end games, man?
I know. 5 minutes in on the power play, nice little slapper from the. I mean, we had that. It was a double minor. The guy took on Andrew
Oh,
Crystal and
yeah,
cut
took out
him, and
Keith. Yeah,
uh, so first goal, we had a couple of chances there, and Ryan Grout, Tri-City's backup, played really well in that game too. I
he
thought
did.
he made a couple of pretty big saves, especially on that power play in the third period. But Crampton gets one through from the point, and then so that wiped off the first 2 minutes on the double minor, and then Mathis Preston and Chase Harrington connecting for another nice little passing play on the second half of that power play.
The great little play by Sarkey at the blue line, little give and go between him and Chase.
Yeah, and then Harry cutting in, and Presso's coming down the right side and just beat his man, but got behind him, and perfect pass from Harrington, and Mathis Preston scores his second goal of the night to give the Chiefs another lead at that point, a 4-3 lead. Uh, so a couple of power play goals on that double minor too. That's
That was huge.
really nice to see too, because our power play, obviously we have one of the top power plays in the league, but I feel like it kind of goes uh on little lapses sometimes
It
where
does from time to time.
and that happens and everything, but it's nice to see us get back-to-back power play goals like that.
Yeah, I think we went 3 for 4 that game.
Yeah, we did, and that's huge. But unfortunately, Tri-Cities also went 2 for 5 on the power play. So
Yeah.
uh penalty kill, I feel like a lot of the penalties that we took were in the first couple periods where we weren't really playing our game.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's probably part of it. But Tri-City has a pretty good power play too. They move the puck well and everything. But um, so yeah, Chiefs are up 4-3 at that point. Mathis Preston's 16th goal of the season. Owen Martin scores on a simple shot from the right hand side.
Mm-hmm.
There, 7 minutes left to go in the third, and then Shea Van Olm with the empty netter. How about that unselfish play from Andrew Crystal holding the puck up to find Ulmer there?
I liked it.
Yeah, you love seeing that. Obviously, if it, there's only option is to shoot the puck, I think
Right.
he should do that. But he has time. We have a little bit of a cushion. Minute and a half left. Why not? Right? Look
Yeah,
look for
exactly.
look for the guy that's leading your team, and I think that's a really nice leadership quality that Crystal brings too.
Me too. And today he had that opportunity too. The empty net goal at the end of today's game, he held the line for a long time looking for him.
Yeah, I think that's pretty cool. So the Chiefs picked up 6-3 victory and knocked off Tri-City in the second half of the home and home. So that's another huge 2 points, especially with Everett losing that night.
Yes.
So that got us to within
The
9 points of them. And then Chiefs playing a Monday afternoon matinee today up in Kamloops. It's President's Day in the States and Family Day up in Canada. And I want to say there's probably 8 or 9 WHL games today.
There's a
Something like
lot
that.
of them.
There's quite a bit of games today. And Chiefs playing 2 o'clock in the afternoon on Monday. I'm off of work on Mondays, so had the opportunity to go down to Fieldhouse and watch the first period with Brandon down there. So that was pretty
Yeah.
fun.
How good was your lunch?
Oh, it's fantastic. I'm still full.
Me too.
I'm not going to be eating any dinner tonight because I'm still so full.
Me too. I only ate half of my French dip sandwich, which, by the way, is the best French dip in town. And
It
your
is.
calzone looked amazing.
It was very good.
Yeah. So thanks to Brandon for having us down and hooking up his Apple TV to one of the restaurant TVs so we could watch. That was nice.
Yeah, it was pretty cool. It was a fun thing to do kind of on a Monday afternoon, and got me out of my apartment for the first time in a couple days. I've been hunkering down because of all this damn snow that we got the
I
last few
know it was
days.
nice to get out.
Took me a while to get my car unstuck this morning, though, I'll tell you that.
Yeah, I bet.
But yeah, Monday afternoon game up in Kamloops. Chiefs have a chance to clinch their playoff spot with a win. Actually, with just getting 1 point, they would have clinched, but not a good start.
All right, so what do you think that watching the Chiefs game here at Fieldhouse is nice to Brandon invite us over, have a little lunch, and watch the Chiefs? What do you think so far?
From what I can see, it's okay. Not we had their chances, but down 1-0 early,
I'm tired of us playing from behind.
or at least we're good at it.
We are good at it, but that's through experience, I guess. But we'll see what the rest of this first period holds and let this food settle in our stomach. So thanks again to Brandon to having us over for a incredible lunch and on this President's Day. And
Here we go.
we did not know it was Senior Citizen Day here today, but apparently it is. Go Chiefs, go.
Really, really bad start once again. Dawson Cowan in net for Spokane, or Carter Essler rather, in net. And the first goal, right off the bat, 48 seconds into the game,
Misty time. That was hard. That was hard to watch.
Yeah, Bo Courtney batting it in there, and yeah, he was just waiting in front of the net. Nobody between him and Essler, and I mean, there's nothing Ezzy could do. He got a piece of it and almost actually got it, but it actually ended up being batted out of midair and and into the net. So obviously, not how you want to start a game, but Kamloops goes on the power play with about 6 minutes to go in the first, and Nathan Bam gets his 27th goal of the season. That kid's a hell of a player too, up in Kamloops. They're kind of having a downer year after their big run a couple of years ago, but there's definitely some future talent on that team.
They'll be back.
So they got a 2-0 lead going into the first intermission, and just overall not a good feeling. I didn't have really that good of a feeling about how we looked, because I felt like even with us struggling in the first period in the last 4 or 5 games, something about this game just didn't feel right to me. I don't know what it was, but I just didn't feel like, I felt like we looked worse than normal.
Felt the same way. I was actually surprised at intermission when Boiler said we outshot them by 1. I wouldn't have guessed that.
Yeah, but I feel like, majority of those shots were shots from the point that just happened to get through in their easy battaways, or they were just right into the crest. But
I did not feel like it was that for sure. I would have, There, like you said, it's hard to put a finger on what was off, but it just did not. Because we sat there after finishing our lunch that first period, like, what was that?
Yeah. So we ended up leaving the restaurant and going back up to your place to watch the remainder of the game. I got there right a couple minutes before Chase Harrington gets his 16th goal of the season. Nice little play from the point. Braden Crampton hit it off the wall, and Harrington was right behind the net and chipped it in and just kind of went off the goalie's back and rolled
Yeah.
across the goal line. Kind of how you got to get, the first goal past a goalie, that he's playing very well because,
Mhm.
the backup for Kamloops, Logan Edmonstone, he's very, very good too. And he dominated us one other time we played them this year too, in Spokane actually. And so, he's having a good first period, obviously shutting us that down in the first period, and then first half of the second period, he made a couple of pretty big saves that would have gone in on any normal goaltender. But so it's nice to get that kind of greasy one to kind of get the ball rolling a little bit.
Yeah.
Chase Harrington gets us within 2-1, and then 4 minutes later, Mathis Preston once again continues to scoring, gets his 17th goal of the season. Nice little play out front, a nice shot to kind of fool the goalie.
Hmm.
And then 2.5 minutes later, our Andrew Crystal picks up his 38th goal of the season, assisted by Berkeley Catton and Brett Sather picking up another assist.
Yeah.
Nice to see him continuing to score and get points. So it's 3-2 game, couple of chances both sides the rest of the game, and then Andrew Crystal gets the empty netters we were just talking about a little bit ago. He was trying to find Ulmer there, but just decided to go ahead and shoot it. So 39th goal of the season for him, and the Chiefs pick up a 4-2 victory. Nice come from behind win again. I
Again.
mean, it's the last 3 or 4 games have all been like this, and obviously we'd like to come out and play like that, like we did in the third period from the get-go.
Hmm.
But if at least we're coming back, at least we're showing the
Yeah.
ability that we can play from behind,
Well,
which is another huge thing going into like a playoff run.
we talked about that with Catton in our interview too, about how calm those guys looked out there on the ice, and like they were still having fun, even if they're behind a little bit. They weren't pressing. They weren't, looking nervous about it or anything, or holding a stick too hard. They seemed
Or
very
getting
relaxed,
frustrated.
even coming from behind.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're not getting frustrated out there. And I feel like a lot of that has to do with, guys like Catton on the team who kind of
Hmm.
keeps everybody calm. And he plays that way all the time. And he very, very rarely shows any frustration out there.
It's confident.
Yeah, it's confidence. And, that's a huge quality to have that'll pass down to every guy in the roster.
Hmm. Yeah, they all have it. Yeah, I agree.
So with that win, the Chiefs punched their ticket to the 2025 WHL playoffs. Pretty impressive stuff.
Very impressive.
I've been so stoked to watch every single game this season.
Hmm.
It's just a completely different, like you said in our Catton interview, it's just a different air in the arena. You can just
Hmm.
feel it, and just really impressive stuff watching these guys compete every single game.
Hmm.
What were your overall thoughts on the clinching game today?
It was better after the first period. The first period, I looked at you when we left the restaurant to come here and watch it. I said, I don't want to watch if it's going to be more of this. They did turn it around, obviously, but it was hard to watch. I didn't expect to come back today just because of how they started, because it was quicker than the last couple of games. I thought Kamloops just jumped on us quicker from some fluky stuff and some missed assignments and things too. I just didn't like it. We did adjust like we always do, but I wasn't expecting to come back today for some reason.
Yeah, and I'm glad that we did end up doing so. I'm sure they probably got a little bit of an ass chewing again from Lauer in the first intermission because they came out and put up 27 shots in the second period. So
there's a big change there.
There was, and you could just see it. I mean, first period they weren't doing any of the crashing the net and getting playing on the boards and everything too. And then they came out in the second period, and that's how they scored their first 2 goals, was just net front loose pucks and putting it in. And then after that, they just all kind of started falling into place. And I really just think that they need to come out and start playing that way from the drop of the puck.
They do. I expect them to this next week, and I'm sure that's going to be a point of emphasis in practice this week.
For sure.
I would expect.
Our third 3-3 this upcoming weekend.
We play 3 again?
We play. We got a home and home at Tri City starting
I
Friday
knew
the
that.
21st in Spokane, and then down in Tri City the next night, and then we are in Portland for a 4 o'clock start on Sunday the
No, I
23rd.
did not know we played a Sunday game.
And then actually we have 4 games in 6 nights. Play Wednesday up in or actually at home against Vancouver. So
Wow.
Chiefs have another I think it's a 3 or 4 game homestand to end the month of February. In yeah, Wednesday the 26th against Vancouver, and then Friday against Wenatchee, and I believe Saturdays against at home against the Thunderbirds, who have been playing very well lately.
Yeah.
They did
Hottest team in
end
the league right now.
they did end up losing today to Portland 4-3.
Oh, they were up
Um,
for they were up too.
they were up 3 to
Three to
2 at one point,
yeah.
I think. But yeah, they ended up losing as well. But yeah, they're playing a lot better lately, and they're obviously going to be coming in with a little bit of an extra chip on their shoulder after the Chiefs kind of shut them down in
Mm-hmm.
Seattle last time we played them. So I expect that to actually be a pretty good game.
Yeah, me.
Similar to the Wenatchee game last week. We shut them down 12-2 in Wenatchee, and then they came back and
Mm-hmm.
had a much better outing against us. I expect the Thunderbirds to do more of the same.
Well, me too. I think we were their only loss in their last 10 going into today's game.
Yeah, something
Yeah,
like that.
they've
So,
been they're
so
fighting. They're trying to get that last playoff spot.
for sure.
Which I'll tell you
And
what, at Christmas time, I thought there was no way.
yeah, and it very well could be. But Kamloops is right there too, and so is Wenatchee. I mean, they're
Yeah.
still. I have the standings pulled up here. Let's. So right now, Seattle owns that last playoff spot. They're sitting at 47 points. Kamloops is sitting at 44. Wenatchee's at 43. So a little bit of a tough task for Kelowna to catch that now. They're sitting with 38 points, but um, any of those three teams, Seattle, Kamloops, or Wenatchee, could get that spot. And I think Seattle's going to be kind of playing their best game the rest of the season, trying to keep
Mm-hmm.
their lead in that department. So,
I would
uh,
think.
I mean, there's no easy games,
Nope.
especially this late in the season. Against it doesn't matter who you're playing against. You got to go into the same mindset against teams like Seattle, Wenatchee, Kamloops that you go into against teams like Everett and Victoria.
Mm-hmm.
Every 2 points is important. I wanted to ask you, there's the last 4 games. Any particular player other than like the obvious Cat and Crystal Ulmer that's kind of stood out to you?
Yeah, you know who it is.
Shotzi?
Hmm?
Shetler?
No,
No?
Sarkanoff.
Sorry. Oh, yeah.
I've commented to you on every game we played. That guy is underrated, in my opinion. For as big as he is, he's got the softest hands I've ever seen on a big guy. He's got a very high hockey IQ. And I told you today, if he can learn to control and rein in that physicalness that he has every once in a while, sometimes it looks like he's running at a guy like he's just going to run him to the boards and he's going to get a 10-game suspension, and luckily he misses. If he can rein that in and control it a little bit better, I told you I think he's going to have a very successful professional career, whether it's in Europe or wherever and stuff too, because that guy is underratedly good.
I agree completely. And
Play that he made net front the other day too. The fact that the coaching staff had him out there when Parr hit him with the pass and he tried to do that little reverse tuck thing and Ulmer picked up the loose puck, that kind of stuff. He was there again at the net when the Chiefs tied it up today too, creating some havoc and things too. The guy is just smart, and I feel like he's the kind of player that takes his role so seriously that when the coaches ask him to do something specific, he does it. He doesn't get lost and forget to do it. That's like his goal is to do whatever he's asked to do.
And I feel like since he came back from World Juniors, that's it's been a different player,
Yeah, he's got
in a good way.
He's got a lot of confidence. He does, and I love watching that guy play. There's times when we're watching a game, whether especially in person, because the TV cameras don't always follow the action very closely, as evident by today too. But when you're watching him in person, I sometimes will just focus on him a whole shift and just watch the little things he does.
Yeah,
it's impressive to watch.
It is. How about defensively? Anybody really kind of stood out to you in the last week?
I liked Caden Allen coming back after missing a couple of games too. He looked really good Saturday night against Tri-Cities.
Yeah, he played some actually pretty big minutes in both of those games.
He did, and he looked really comfortable after missing a few games.
I thought
our other young defensemen, Shetler and say they've been good too when they're in the lineup as well. I mean, I can't praise those guys enough. I told you today, I hope those guys stay on the defensive line for the rest of their career in Spokane, because those guys together are just fun to watch.
Yeah,
I think they're going to be a dangerous D-line tandem in another 2 years.
definitely. Especially Shetler. I think Shetler's going to be burying 10, 15 goals in a couple of years.
Yeah.
I think Ozzie McIntyre coming back up, he's looked good in the games that he's played. I think he fits in really well in that fourth line too. And
he does.
He played a lot today. Like that fourth line played a lot of minutes today.
The whole line did, yeah. I agree. It's too bad it's his 10th game with us now, though.
I know. So yeah, I'm gonna have to send him back. But you have a whole 4 or 5 days off, and hopefully you can get Sam Oremba back by this weekend again. He played that one game against Wenatchee, and then decided he wasn't completely ready to come back yet. And so he's on the bench again, or on the injured list again. So, well, hopefully that's nothing too serious, but I think that if we can get him back this weekend, it'll be nice. Otherwise, I'll play like 11-7, which is fine too.
Yeah.
Hopefully we can get Brody Gillespie and Smith Bredman back in the near future too. I think Brody was looking really, really good before he got hurt too. Really like the way he's plays. One guy that's really stood out to me in the last week, I think Owen Martin has really started getting back into game shape and starting to put the puck in the net again too. And he's looked really good to me.
His speed is back too.
Yeah, his speed is back. Just overall, like he's been playing on that line with Preston and Harrington, and like that's a pretty damn speedy line right there. And they, I mean, whoever you seem to put Chase Harrington with, I mean, that guy is going to be a guy to look out for in a few years as well. I'm really impressed with him all year.
He reminds me of Catton last year.
Definitely. And he's put up 20 some goals this year already.
Yeah.
And that's
too.
Yeah, absolutely. And that just goes to show the depth that this team has.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think overall, if I had to pick a guy, I would pick Owen Martin.
Yeah.
My mind went blank there for a second.
Another good choice.
But yeah, so that's kind of all I have recap wise. Anything else you want to kind of touch on?
Well, there's somebody that posted in the Chiefs group on Facebook anonymously. We don't know who this person is. Kind of asking for some changes and some upgrades maybe to the arena and the overall fan experience at Chiefs games too. He just said, I think it's really disappointing that I won't name, but we all know who it is, that the owner of the Chiefs and management don't do anything to make the fan experience at the arena any better. I see so many arenas for other teams that outperform us, and we're one of the biggest arenas in the league. And he kind of lists some things in here too. And you and I both read this and agreed with it too. Goal horn. He says, I love our goal song, but we need an actual horn. Like Burlington Northern sponsors the Chiefs. Why can't we get a train horn or something in there and stick it in the rafters? I actually think that's a great idea.
I do too. And that's something that I've talked about for a couple of years now. It's like, you go down to Tri-City, they have that loud ass train horn. Every other team has it. We need something like that kind of just gets the arena just buzzing. But keep the goal song, obviously.
Yes, keep the goal song, and especially now that we've done a couple of interviews and both of them commented on that goal song. Something you've said since last year, especially, turn up the volume on the goal song too. You can barely hear it with everybody standing up and cheering. Crank that thing.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, that needs to be louder too. So that's something that you and I are bringing up now. That's not on this list, but and then number 2 on this list is volume. Out of all the arenas this person's been to, Spokane is by far the quietest. Yes, I'm taking size differences into consideration, but they play the music at like 20%. Again, that kind of touches what we just talked about. Play the goal song louder.
Agreed.
I know they have the quiet nights that they've had, the sensory nights or whatever they call them and stuff too. And they seem to have kept that volume low since they started having that a couple years ago. I understand that. And I think there is a need for that, but, and for God's sakes, Jay, quit playing Sweet Caroline. It's gotten better. They play it every game, but can we not play Sweet Caroline in 5 minutes left in the third period when we're either trying to solidify a win or we're trying to come back from behind? Can we just not do that anymore, please? The music mix has been better the last couple of weeks, though. I don't know how or why or what got into whoever's doing the music, but it has been better. There's been some new songs and some pretty good songs that pump everybody up too. So that part, there is some improvement, but we just have
Definitely.
one final task. Let's get rid of Sweet Caroline.
Yep.
So, number 3, fan interaction intermission. What happened to the kiss cams and the dance cam? Those are some of the funniest moments at the games.
I
Agreed.
see. We don't really stick around for intermission. We were
No, we
always
go
walking
walk
the
around
concourse,
because, yeah,
but yeah, I agree. I was thinking the kiss cam thing might be just because of the times that we're in.
well,
Maybe
guys can kiss guys.
I understand that, but also some of the other teams still do it. I mean, Tri City do it, and they
Yeah,
put the camera on Chiefs players on the bench, and they're like laughing about it and stuff too.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah, but they do it during play. Doing an intermission, why not?
Yeah, they're
Yeah,
neat. It's we don't know so much anymore because we are walking around, but yeah, it sounds like there's not a lot of fan interaction at the intermission, which is kind of a shame. And then let's see, I accidentally clicked on a different button here.
here I can read it if you need. I have that
Lighting.
too.
Well, I absolutely love the new arena lights. More could be done that doesn't affect the team's relationship with the Spokane arena, and not something that would need to be permanent to the arena. LED lighting on the plexiglass around the boards, new gold judge boxes with updated lights at the top, not the same bulb that's been there for 25 years. An actual lighting setup for the boys when they come out rather than this person says half-ass smoke show. You and I have talked about that too in relation to that. When they close off the upper level, now that we've made the playoffs, let's hope they don't do that during the playoffs again and close off the whole upper level. But those black curtains, put some spotlights up there that say "Go," the "Go Chiefs Go" stuff that they swirl around on the ice when the players come out. Put that stuff up and just leave it up on the black curtains. It's not in anybody's eyes if it's going up there. Let's light up those black curtains a little bit and get a little bit of something else going up there too. I understand they want to make it look like those seats don't exist, so it doesn't look so empty. Well, there's a couple of fixes for that. Number one, open it up and sell those seats, and then it's not going to look empty. But if you put something else up there, make something positive out of it.
Yeah, absolutely.
So you and I have talked about that.
No, and with the lighting thing, I think the LED lighting and the plexiglass would be cool.
Me too.
I know a lot of NHL teams do that now. Obviously I'm sure that's got to be an expensive thing to do, but
Yeah.
I think it's something that they could look into maybe trying to do. I think that'd be a great touch to the arena, and then you can light those up when the boys come out onto the ice pregame too.
Yeah. And this person says, and I don't know if this is true, I'm assuming it is. They just spent like $16 million to update Avista Stadium. Let's do something for the Chiefs.
That is true. They are in the middle of upgrading of stakes. The Indians had to play their playoff games at Gonzaga last year.
I know they were doing improvements, but I didn't know how much they paid.
Yeah.
There's a difference there though too, because I believe Brett Sports actually owns the rights and everything to
They
it,
do.
which he does not do with the Spokane Arena.
They do. Yeah.
So I know there's a difference there, but let's put some effort in there too. I mean, I know my head professional's contract at the golf course. He gets his contract renewed and he's paid by the city. But in his contract, and it's the same for all the other professionals, they're also responsible for out of their own pocket paying for some improvements at the golf course as well, too, while they are still under contract with the city. Same kind of thing. You're under contract with the Spokane Arena to house the Chiefs. Put some money in to make some improvements for the team and for the fans.
I agree.
Yeah.
I think the one part of that I really agree with there is the lighting when the boys come out onto the ice. Give them like a proper the blow up Chiefs logo thing. That's cool. I think that's fine. That can stay.
Agreed.
Bring out those fog machines every game.
Did they do from the start of the season?
Yeah, but
one
do that, but get some that come down like that goes across to the other side as the boys can skate through it as opposed to just going up to the side. Just fill that area with fog.
Yeah.
I mean that shit can dissipate so quickly too. It's not gonna, adhere play at all.
No.
Do that. Give us, more. They do that for the home opener, but bring out that set of lights that they always bring out. Like I feel like it's just lazy.
It is. It is, and it's the same every game with the exception of the home opener.
Yeah.
And we're getting good. I mean, obviously we have, even when the team was having some lean years the last couple of seasons, We get great fan support. We're in the top 3 in the league every year.
Mm-hmm.
Think don't the fans deserve a little something for that effort too?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I
So,
completely
and I know
agree.
you and I have preached on center ice scoreboard too.
Yeah, I think it's time for that. I mean, I had heard years ago that their main reason they weren't going to do that was because of the Spokane Shock and the arena football and
Right.
everything. And I understand that, but you know what? That's long gone in Spokane.
Exactly.
And the Chiefs are the main stay at the arena.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that they deserve to have that. And then especially also when, Gonzaga plays quite a bit of games there too
Yes,
now.
they do.
And with WSU being in the WCC for the next couple of seasons.
They play season. They play a couple of games there during Christmas break.
Uh-huh. And then they have the NCAA tournament comes through Spokane every year.
Mm-hmm.
So it can be beneficial for that too. And then you can put screens up there like concerts. Like, they have like the screens set up on stage, put them up there too.
Yeah. And remember, I asked you that game. Was it might have been the Wenatchee game on Tuesday, because we were kind of talking about this after that had been posted. And I asked you if you thought that had we got the Memorial Cup, would that have been something that the arena would have put in as an overhead scoreboard?
Yeah, I wouldn't have been surprised, but also I don't know how long that process would take.
I don't know either, but before the end of next year, I think it could probably be done.
Yeah.
I mean, they closed the arena for how many months at the end of the hockey season this last year until almost the middle of summer for making some improvements. They put the new lights in, they added some more seats and did some things too.
Yeah, very
They
true.
they would have had a year and a half to do it. They could have done it. I just wonder if it's something that would have been done, if it something that would have been demanded
Yeah.
from somebody.
I could still see it happening and over time at some point, but I haven't heard anything about them doing
Yeah,
anything like
me
that
either.
recently, but
I just think
that's something to think about.
the success of this team maybe dictates some of that stuff happening down the road.
Yeah. And maybe they make a deep playoff run this year and the success can kind of continue under the coaching and the general manager that we have. And maybe, something like that'll come up again in the near future, but who
Yeah.
knows?
Yeah.
But yeah, no, that's I really like seeing posts like that in all
Me too.
honesty.
Me too.
It gives you something to talk about and something to think about. And also, let's just add in the PS that he put at the bottom of this post here. He says, Spokane Arena, shame on you for the 4x cost of beer and the $7 shitty hot dogs. You would sell more if you didn't rob people. And you know what? That's city of Spokane. That's greed right there. That's
It,
the
it is. It is. I'm sorry, but I will not hit the tip button when they flip the screen over when they turn around and grab something out of the refrigerator and put it on the counter for me.
Yeah, exactly.
So I'm already paying enough. And I mean, you can test this. I used to buy popcorn every game.
Yeah.
I buy popcorn about a quarter of the time now, and that's the only thing I do. I will not buy anything to drink unless it's $3 night, which honestly 2 years ago was dollar night. That's ridiculous.
Yeah.
I don't remember if I talked about it on the podcast a couple of weeks ago or not, but I saw something somewhere. I think it was right before I went to Mexico. I believe it was the guy that owns the arena that the Utah Jazz play in. It might have been the Denver Nuggets, but I thought it was Utah. Lowered the price of all of his concessions there because he said it's ridiculous. A family of 4, if they wanted drinks and like hot dogs or something, was costing $100 for 4 people, and he cut things and cut it down to where it costs like 25 or $30 for the same stuff now.
Yeah, and that's the thing. It's like obviously, times are different now financially with, everything being kind of more expensive and everything these days compared to, 15, 20 years ago. But the greed has gone up too.
Mm-hmm.
And that's something that a lot of these big corporations are taking advantage of because they know that people are going to buy it anyway.
Mm-hmm.
And so they hike up the prices, 5, 6 times what they, cost to buy or to make or whatever, that like those shitty $7 hot dogs. That takes
I can't
maybe.
believe hot dogs are $7. I've not had a hot dog at the arena in years, but I cannot believe they're $7. That's ridiculous.
Yeah, that doesn't take $7 to make one of those things.
No, I buy a 8-pack of buns, a package of hot dogs, and 2 cans of chili to feed you and I chili dogs for 4 nights. if we wanted to for the price of 2 hot dogs there.
Yeah, exactly.
Actually,
Exactly.
less
So
than that. I think it would cost us about $10, if that.
yeah. So it's greed and it's just rich trying to get richer. But
Yeah,
you know what? What are we gonna do about it? We just go
it's
to
the
support the
American
hockey
way.
team. It
It's the
is.
American way.
It is.
Yeah,
And with the tariffs, it's gonna get worse. So that's
it
fun.
could be. It could. We'll see. I'm hoping that just ends up fizzling out.
Yeah,
I
me
think
too.
I think it's just a threat tactic, but we'll see. I
Yeah,
know
who
gas
knows?
prices have definitely not gone down. They've jumped like 20 some cents in the last week here in town.
I just got gas today after we left the field house, and it's only 10 cents more for a gallon for diesel than it is for regular
Isn't that
unleaded
crazy? What'd
now.
you pay?
Yeah, 389.
So the new Circle K down on Nevada and Foothills, I
Yeah,
went there because it's the cheapest place I can find in town. It was 355.
that's pretty solid.
I went there today after we left the game, or
That's
after.
pretty solid.
Yeah, it was before I went over there actually.
It's almost worth driving to Idaho to get a little bit cheaper.
Pretty close.
All
Pretty close.
right, well, that's all I got for you this week.
Well, thanks for sharing some grievances too.
You're welcome. I figure might as well, right?
Get it out. Yeah, why not?
Exactly.
It was good to get out today, and thanks again to Brandon to having us over to watch the field house. That was pretty nice.
Absolutely. It was very fun, good time, and hopefully we can get together for some playoff games online this year too.
That'd be nice.
And congrats to the Chiefs for clinching.
Nicely done, boys.
Nicely done, and can continue it this weekend against Tri-City and Portland.
Yeah, let's take Tri-Cities out twice.
Absolutely, that'd be nice. I'd like to win a pair of games against those guys.
I like your background there. It's very fitting.
Thank you. I saw that picture a couple, probably 10 years ago on Facebook, and somebody just
really?
reposted it the other
Oh,
day,
that's
and
fun.
I was like, oh, I forgot about that.
That's funny.
I got another one that I have saved in my phone that I'll have as my background for next week. So
You know what we should do is we should go back and look in the archives from WHL memes and find some good ones for backgrounds.
that's a good idea.
That is a
Yeah,
good.
I wonder if everybody that listens knows that we used to run that page.
I don't know. We should. I don't know. Maybe I shouldn't have said anything.
Me, and TC used to run that page for quite a while.
I think we're in the middle of Puck Bunny Awareness Month, aren't we?
Oh shit! You're right. You're
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
Oh man, you still got any of those hats laying around anywhere?
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
Should we wear them to the game next week?
we should.
Okay.
We should give some out.
I should. I think I have enough to give a few out.
Yeah, that'd be fun.
That's a good idea.
Yeah. All right.
We put some in strategic places at the Everett Arena when we went 2 years ago.
That's true. We did.
Yeah.
That's right. That's funny.
Yeah, that's funny. Yeah, we should wear those. That'd be fun.
Let's do it. I'm in.
All right. Sounds good.
Friday night. I'm in. All right.
All right. Go Chiefs, go.
Till next week. Go Chiefs. Go. Congrats, boys.